Alrighty, welcome back.
Welcome back
to the third episode of the Skeptics Podcast. Today we got some interesting stories, some interesting things that's been going on all around the world for the last couple of weeks or so.
Yep.
I've been mentally drained, as he's been seeing, from searching and looking on my phone for 8 hours a day for different things. But that's a whole other story, but just kind of hopping into it, some topics that we're going to discuss today. The main one, most likely, a lot of y'all have heard about it. I actually was late on the bandwagon about hearing about this, was the Moscow shooting. So far, I think it is 137 confirmed that's been killed. 20 has been injured. At one time, there was some people that was trapped while the building was catching on fire. Haven't really heard much about that. Then we're going to kind of go into a little bit more things about preparedness after that, some things John wants to talk about. And speaking of social media, me just rotting my eyes out for the last week or so, as y'all have heard, I'm pretty sure, some people want to ban TikTok, some people don't want to ban TikTok. I think Trump now is saying that he does not want to ban TikTok, when at first I'm pretty sure he was the big proponent of banning it before anybody else was. So, we got some good things that we're going to talk about today. Hope y'all enjoy. Hope y'all have a blessed day. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So, I guess we'll start with the Moscow one first.
Yep.
Moscow shooting. There was an article there's been articles on everything so far. There's been a bunch of people saying a bunch of different things. I actually have one of them here pulled up. Let's see. So, I got Washington Post. Terrorist attack exposes Vladimir Putin's vulnerabilities of Russia. I know a lot of people for a lot of time thought that Russia was probably the most secure, most military people besides the United States. Nobody, even though a lot of people say our biggest enemy is China, there's a lot of people that also believe our biggest enemy is Russia. So now we are seeing that anything can happen anywhere. Like I said, 137 confirmed dead at this point, 200 people injured. There has been a couple of different claims on who it is, depending on which news source you listen to. Some people say that ISIS is stepping back on the block pretty much and trying to say that this was them. And then Putin, I think to this day, still believes that it was Ukraine. A thing that I do want to put out there, though, and I know that me and him have talked about it before, is we are both big proponent in carrying guns, getting used to them, training with them, learning how to protect people with them. And the gun laws in Russia are they're kind of so-so. We were looking at it before here, and if I'm wrong, everybody fact check me on this, and be sure to leave it in the comments if I am saying it wrong, because I very much might be saying it wrong. But as of what it looks like to me, there's a couple rules that you have to have. First rule, and number one rule, is you do not carry pistols. That's not a thing. No matter what you do, you're not allowed to carry a pistol. You are allowed to own up to 5 smooth-bore firearms, and most of those being shotguns. And then after you've went through a period of time of owning these 5, you now have the ability to where you can own 5 rifles. Now, they're kind of just so-so on what it says rifle. A lot of people say that to do this, you have to have a hunting license. So I don't know if you could go pick up an AR-15, or in their case would be an AK-47 probably, or AK-74, and be able to use that. You may not be able to. But the interesting thing is the one weapon that you would carry on you most of the time anywhere you go would probably be a pistol. There's not many people carrying rifles like on them. Of course, There's some people that have them in truck guns and so on and so forth. But as you carrying that thing on you, it doesn't happen much. So I'm interested to hear your take on what happened. I mean, being at a huge place like that, and there was 4 or 5, I think, people that ended up doing it. Now, obviously, they're not abiding by these laws because they all had fully machine guns. I'm not making this reference to make anybody sad or anything like that. I pray for everybody's families that had somebody that was involved in this, because at the end of the day, you like Russia, you don't like Russia, they're innocent people, and they don't deserve to just be taken out like it is.
Correct.
And I got to see a bunch of videos that was it honestly makes me more mad, except for maybe one other thing in the world that makes me this mad, and it literally looks like that one scene out of Modern Warfare 2 where the no Russian thing. I mean, they're just walking into this place and just spraying multiple people. Right. Like I said, machine guns. They're not going in there with bolt action guns or anything like that. Right. So, you being a proponent of firearms, what do you think about this situation and the way that Russia's got their laws figured out to somewhat stop this?
Well, it's interesting. You know, we just had, actually in our own state, an ATF raid.
True.
Or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they showed up and the guy started shooting at them. They shot back, et cetera, et cetera. You can find that in your local news outlet. But, well, if you're in our state. But I'm saying all that to say, you see all these gun law makers right now, the ATF like leading the charge on that. That's what it ends up like. I know it sounds like, oh, well, if you just was allowed to have shotguns, you were just allowed to have... Well, I think it's the same conversation that's always been had about this, is that if you're going to do any kind of criminal activity, you're not going to abide by those rules. As well as I'm curious, and I should have looked into it. So once you have like 5 years with the smoothbore, like shotgun-styled firearm in Russia, and then you move on to a rifle. I'm curious on that. So, yes, obviously the AK-47, the AK-74 are very prevalent over there, but I'm curious. I doubt that they hunt with those. I would assume it would be a form of a bolt action. I don't know.
Right, I don't either.
I find that super interesting, and if they are, that's a...
I mean, I know my dad used to hunt. I know to this day, actually, I know a lot of people that still hunt with SKSs. Yeah. And I mean, it's essentially an AK, just not as tactical or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it shoots the same round. Normally has a little bit longer barrel depending on what you do. Yeah. So I would definitely say that there's people out there hunting with that. But I don't. Me personally, I wouldn't go grab an AK off the shelf. Right. I'm the same way that you would. I would go grab a bolt action gun or something that's got maybe a little bit more powerful round. I mean, you don't need to fire 10 rounds at a deer, but you may need to fire 10 rounds at a person that's firing hundreds of rounds back at you.
Right.
So, but the thing that sucks in both of those cases is you're not carrying that thing into a stadium that they were in.
Right.
So, I'm anxious to see how Vladimir is going to take this. I mean, I'm sure he's going to end up just being like off with their heads, which I'm totally fine with. So it would, but I don't know if there would be any law changes. I mean, I'm sure, honestly, if that happened here, let's all be real. If that happened here, they would just say that this is one reason why we don't need to have machine guns.
Right.
But I would like to have those 5 people try to do that with like 2 Navy SEALs or like 2 Army Rangers with the same capacity in there. I would bet you it'd be a lot, ended up being quicker. Because one thing that you got to think of, and especially the people that's out here saying, oh no, people don't need machine guns, people don't need this, that, whatever. If you're a criminal, you have, especially these kind of criminals, you have one goal essentially, and it's to go in there and just absolutely create chaos, whether it's killing people, hurting people, just striking fear in people's eyes. That's the goal.
Right.
And when you're doing that, it does sound like a simple goal. It's just go in there and create the most terrible situation that you could possibly be in. But you take one individual, and that one goal is to take down that one person that's causing that thing. Even though both of them is obviously not simple things to do,
right? But
you now have a mindset, I think, at this point that simplifies versus the chaos one. Like you got 5. Imagine. Obviously, this is hard to imagine because none of us will do this. But if you were someone in some place, say you were robbing a bank. Think about how many things is having to be going on to your head for this to go correct versus the one cop around the corner that says, I have one job and it's to end that dude's life.
Right.
Or stop the threat. That's whatever you want to do.
Right. However you want to say it.
Yeah, exactly. So I would love to have seen maybe that one like slick guy that somehow manages to keep a gun in his pocket or something like that, because that one guy has the potential to take down multiple threats because they're not thinking these guys are going into this place knowing that the people that have firearms is pretty close to zero.
Right.
Maybe there's cops there. I don't know what the cops can even carry in Russia. But they're not afraid of anything. And then you take one guy that's in the back that might possibly have a firearm that's been registered in whatever, or however you want to call it, and is potentially stopping the threat.
Right.
I mean, there was that one character, I can't remember what his name is, and I would really, I know we did a drill, the Dickens drill.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what his first name is,
I don't know.
but massive props to that guy, because that guy was, just being clear, he was carrying a firearm in a place that they say you're not supposed to carry firearms.
Right.
Was the other guy that killed multiple people or attempted to, you think he was abiding by that? No. And if it wasn't for Dickens, this guy would have killed multiple other people. And not only is it for Dickens, this is a guy that literally trained all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if anybody of y'all or shoot guns as much as, like, I would say me and you do, and we really don't even shoot that much guns compared to all other kind of people.
Right.
But go take your pistol and try to hit, 10 shots at 40 yards under 10 seconds. A-zone hits. You try to do that.
Yeah.
It's easy for somebody that does it a bunch, and it's hard for somebody that doesn't.
That's right.
And then you imagine having the adrenaline, being able to aware of all the obstacles that's behind you or behind them, and people running around and everything like that, and you were able to take care of the job. I would have rather had one or two of them there versus 5 guys than no one. And I think anybody in Russia would probably admit by that too.
Right.
I mean, it sucks because there's going to be people that's going to try to turn this backwards to where it's going to say, this is why you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have this. And when in reality, you take 1 or 2 people that had the same equipment as those people, and this would have probably been a lot better situation than it was.
Yeah.
So I hope Putin tries to change some things around. I know they're nowhere near like the United States.
Right.
I wouldn't leave the United States for anything. I do believe it's the best country in the world. But I would hope if Putin loves his people that he would see this and be like, okay, there's only one way to stop the threat. It is to make more men and women capable of stopping threats.
Right.
So hopefully I'd like to see that happen to him at least.
And, I was thinking about it. Everybody wishes that you would have, well, I don't say wishes, that sounds bad, but I guess I need to finish my whole sentence, but like the incident in Nairobi where there was the, I don't know if you want to call them terrorists or what, they're pretty much terrorists.
Yeah, terrorists.
And essentially, supposedly Christian Craighead, as he says it, supposedly stopped those people. I mean, everybody would wish that there was a good guy just around the corner.
100%.
Like, imagine if there was a KGB. I mean, whether you like Russians or not, those guys train to a high standard, okay? And they have different rules and applications than your standard citizens over there. And so if one of those types of guys was around the corner, imagine how much less life loss there would be with a person like that. But it's just not the case. It's not applicable. No. There's not a Navy SEAL on every one of our blocks here in the U.S., So it's up to the average Joe, and you got to be responsible. You got to put in the hours, and you got to be on the watch. Because, I mean, you just never know. You never know these days. It could never happen to you, or it could happen to you tomorrow.
Right, and I think one thing that I'm not going to say that our society is falling apart or anything like that. I do think the future is bright on the horizon. As crazy as that sounds, I do believe it. I listened to a guy, Patrick Bet-David. That's his motto for this year, and he'll straight up say right back to you though, I do think this will be the year of chaos. It will probably get nuts, especially close to election year.
Yeah.
But one thing that he says that I agree with a bunch is every movie that you've ever watched in your entire life, there's a hero in that movie. Most movies, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, for the most part.
It's you watch Marvel movies, you watch DC movies, you watch movies that's war movies. I mean, all these movies have some sort of hero in it. Mm-hmm. And that's why you talk to a lot of people in the military, they join the military because of movies. Yeah. And there's some people that join the military because of video games. Mm-hmm. And that's as crazy as that sounds, but the one thing that we're doing wrong is we are not giving the spotlight to the people that should be heroes. I've heard multiple situations from multiple different people my whole life growing up, and luckily they're not people that I surround myself with anymore, that says, just save yourself.
Right.
I mean, obviously you have to figure out what's important to you in the situation that arises, but we're getting to a time now to where it's like, if you're a capable person that has let's just go on the low end, 60% chance that you could stop a threat.
Right.
You're a 0% chance if you leave.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying everybody just go busting into places and trying to be the hero all the time. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is this. Learn the skills to be a hero, mm-hmm. and then when the time arises, step up and be the hero. Christian Craighead, now to this point, I'm sure if I walked up to him and told him that he was a hero, he probably would not perceive it like, oh yeah, I'm a hero. I don't think he's that kind of guy. No. But he was a hero. And if it wasn't for him, there would have been a lot more people that died.
100%.
And we're in a world now to where you don't want to make those people heroes. I don't give a crap if I see on TV about some man turning into a woman so he can beat another woman up in the UFC. And now he's a hero for transgender, LGBTQ, the rest of the alphabet. I really don't care about that. Show me something that, and it doesn't have to be sunshine and rainbows. Nothing's sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Right.
But show me somebody like Dickens, mm-hmm. that, and he didn't get hardly any kind of spotlight.
Dude,
whatsoever.
It came and went. That story was there and gone.
Gone. And he should have been on the front pages of everything. So shout out to you if you ever watch this podcast, brother. You did something that was incredible, and you're a hero. And actually, you know what I got to say about it? Take it and then teach more people to become heroes. Because when you see something like that, that might be the driving force to turn everything back around. Like I said, I'm not saying that everybody has to go in and do every single thing that could possibly, because if you're not trained, mm-hmm. most likely, let's be real, you're probably endangering somebody. I'm not saying if there's a kid falling from the tree that you can't run and try to catch the kid. By all means, go and try to catch the kid. Right. But just know that the more problems that arise, and if you're not training for those kind of problems, and it doesn't have to be gun stuff all the time. It could be medical stuff. It could be preparedness on keeping food and water stocked in your house. It could be having extra sheets if the power goes out and it's too cold outside. Just multiple different things. I'm tired of hearing it, and I would like to hear nowadays people actually say, step up and be the hero. Mm-hmm. As crazy as that sounds, yeah, your life's going to be hard. Yeah, you're going to get put in situations that you don't want to be in.
Right.
But if you try hard enough, you train hard enough, and you believe in yourself hard enough, I do think that you will start seeing more stuff prevail. And I would wish that, I'm sure there was a bunch of heroes that was in Moscow. They just weren't equipped with things to be able to make the threat less than what it was.
Right.
So that's my kind of little rant about it. It's where I stand on all this stuff right now. Like I said, prayers to everybody that has lost their family, their friends, their loved ones in the Moscow thing. This 100%. Is coming from two Americans that's never been to Moscow. And we're by no means Putin supporters or anything like that. We're just two guys that wish a lot of people would live really, really good lives. So I hate that for them, but hopefully some things will change and it could possibly fix it up a little bit more.
Yep.
Is there anything else you got to say?
Man, just a little something on the tail end of what you was going on there. So I've heard guys talk about it. Jocko talks about it on his podcast about this idea of like you watch these movies and you're like so amped up to go and be like this heroic guy, and it doesn't ever turn out the way you expected. I don't want people to think that it's going to be easy. No. That's kind of what I thought when I first started out. Like, man, I'm going to go and I'm going to acquire these skills and it's going to be easy. No. Even just acquiring the skills is hard. And the discipline and the time it takes to be put in and to think about this stuff. It takes mental strength to have to think about these bad situations.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's a key factor right there that a lot of people skip. All of the physical training you can do, cool, bro. That mental training, you need to think about you being actually in that situation, having to help someone. And it may be that they cut their leg with an axe and you need to apply a tourniquet and help get them medical aid. I mean, it can be something simple like that. It doesn't have to be a shooter scenario. Mm-hmm. But you don't want the first time that you have to think about it to be the time that's actually happening.
Oh, heck yes. I'm with you 100%.
So that's just a little tidbit I think that people should probably think on a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not just the fact of being a hero, because I think about being the hero of my own story. It'd be great, but it's not going to work out that way. So far, I've not been the hero in a lot of my own situations. Somebody else steps in and helps me along the way, you know.
Imagine if there was no hero.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's been my hero before. My dad's been my hero before. My 100%. Grandparents have been my hero. My friends have been my heroes before.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be somebody's hero. Yeah. I mean, if you're living by a good example and you're trying to teach people something that, now you don't have to cram it down their throat.
No.
Like we were talking about this in church today, and it was actually a very good conversation. Our pastor was talking about it. He was at a horse sale, and he said it was on his heart to try to bring somebody closer to God. So anyway, he was up there talking in front of a horse show or whatever. Anyway, he just spits out this random thing that he thought God thought he should say. And I don't know if anything ever came of it or not, but maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. If you don't try, then nothing's going to come of it. Whatever, is Michael Jordan, you know what I'm talking about? He says, he's like,
you miss 100% of the shots you don't
exactly.
take. Yeah.
So it's like, I would much rather you try to do the right thing, and even though you're going to miss some shots, because I guarantee you'll make up for them in the end in some kind of way, some kind of capacity. That and have a good mindset.
Yeah.
Like shout out to my other friend Cody Allender. We were talking about it a couple of days ago, and I think it was rather Cody, or shout out to my boy Lee if it was him. But we're all in a big group chat, and it's a lot going on. And one of them said that I was the bunker guy, like that they think I'm the bunker guy.
Right.
Mind you, I'm not a gun collector or anything like that. Like I just have like a couple of them, the ones that I train with a bunch, and but I'm paranoid and prepared at the same time. Now I don't have a bunker. I wish I did have a bunker. Now would I ever use it? Probably not. And the situation that I would ever need to stay in a bunker for a long time, I think that really gets blown out of proportion.
Yeah. It'd be a cool hangout spot.
Definitely be a cool man cave or something like that. But other than that, it's okay to be prepared. I mean, when you're walking in Walmart, look at the cars around you when you're walking in there. You see some cars that might have some sketchy stuff. Keep your kids away from that. Keep your wife away from that. If you're a wife and you're prepared, keep your kids away from it. Keep your husband away from it. Bring it to light. Great story. I just now thought about this. We were coming back from a horse show, and actually just had a blowout. God was really testing my patience this whole time. We're pulling a 6-horse trailer in this big old truck, and we come around this curve, and there's a guy throwing a woman pretty much around in the ditch. Grabs her, throws her up against the car, tries to throw her in the car, and luckily the lady was a little bit bigger than the guy was, and it was a tussle. Now I don't know, I never saw him close hand punch her or anything like that.
Right.
But she definitely didn't want to go get in the car, and he was trying to force her in the car. So luckily it was me, my wife Cammie, my friend Miranda, and my friend Timmy that was in the thing with us. And heck, we saw it, and we slammed on the brakes and pulled over to the side, and we never got to confront them because they drove off as soon as they seen a cop car. But I'm very glad that not only that I had the confidence to be able to try to maybe do something, but as long as my friend Timmy, I mean, he was right there with me the whole time.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I would have stopped the threat, but I would have tried. So I never got to see much more after that. Turns out he was doing something to her. The cops caught him. He went to jail, and they got back on us. Shout out to the state troopers in Searcy, Arkansas. I appreciate, I don't know if any cops ever watch this down the line, and I'm sure there's like a rule against this, so I'm not saying any specific names, but it's a great peace of mind when they call you back and say, hey, this is how this went down, and this is what resolved of it. And they called us back and said, hey, man, we got a bunch more calls that was just like you, so we're taking them in. And I respect that cop a lot for just calling and telling me that, because I'm going to be sitting there wondering about it all night if there's anything else I could do.
Right.
And in the end, it turned out to be pretty good or not. But one thing he did say that I do want to highlight for sure, this all happened very quickly on a freeway where people run 75, 80 miles an hour.
Right.
And I'm very glad that the cop was to tell us that a lot of people called the cops. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I would like to see, though, and like I said, I'm not trying to just give myself a lot of hype here because I didn't do anything in the end of the day. We did call the cops. We were going to try to confront, but they sped off in a red Dodge Charger. But the cop said we were the only ones that stopped to even try to prevent anything that was happening. Right. But like I said, nothing did. But don't be afraid to stop.
Yeah.
In any situation, like if you see somebody doing something that you deem wrong, just go ahead and stop. When in doubt, you go over there and nothing's happening. Praise the Lord, nothing's happening.
Right.
And then you can go on with your day. But if there is, and especially if you're somebody that trains in some kind of way to stop a threat, don't sit there and think, oh, I don't want to be that guy. You train for a reason. Be that guy.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to go up in there and shoot up all the bad guys and everything like that, but try to find a way to stop the threat. Be prepared for it, and then take those steps to try to stop whatever it is in the case.
Right, yeah.
So that's a thing that I really want kind of people to think about when it comes to anything, because this thing that happened in Moscow, this could easily happen here.
Yeah.
With the amount of illegal immigrants that we let in nowadays, and them just coming out and saying that I am a terrorist, it could happen here. So be prepared and learn how to defend yourself, learn how to defend your loved ones. Mm-hmm. Please, that's all I'm asking. And come to Jesus Christ if you haven't. Light that up there at the very, very end. All right, so another thing that we were kind of wanted to touch on here was TikTok. Mm-hmm. At first, years ago, Donald Trump was talking about stopping TikTok.
Right.
And now he's not wanting to stop TikTok, is from what it sounds like. Do you have TikTok?
No.
Okay, so I do. Probably shouldn't have it. Luckily, I don't get on it near as much. I know I haven't got on it this much this week because I've been looking for a truck on every other social media app, and it's absolutely draining. But I'm sure you're aware TikTok's owned by a Chinese company. Mm-hmm. It's no surprise that China spies on people.
Right.
The thing that I want to get your opinion on, I know you want to get your opinion on this thing, but this just popped to mind, I really want to get your opinion on it, is I don't even know if you know this, but TikTok is not allowed in China.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is?
I'm glad you asked. I was waiting on that one. That's the one I was about to jump directly into. So, all right. If they don't allow their own people to watch it, I think there's plenty of good use cases right now. Mm-hmm. So people have already been talking about people watching TikTok, and it's shortening their attention span. So now they're watching shorter YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. They can't stay with a movie as much. They can't hold a conversation. So not only has it been proven, I've seen where people have been talking about it being proven, that people's attention spans have been getting shorter, mm-hmm. and that just feeds that, you know. So what happens whenever you don't even have the capacity to think through something more than
0.5 seconds?
Obviously, yeah, nothing flat. Yeah. It's just as fast as you can get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a negative. And that may be something that China's trying to keep their people from growing into.
Right.
So maybe it's something on that side.
It's definitely something on that side.
Especially as the youth,
Right.
Because these are the people you're counting on. And then the other side is, and you can say whatever you want, but I talk about propaganda literally all the time. Okay? With you guys. It would be too easy, okay, for anybody.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be government. It could be a type of ideology. Like, have you ever heard of Scientology? People believe in that instead of like.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
Tom. I watched a video of Tom Cruise trying to explain everything, and honestly, it just makes me more confused.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling the guy out.
Right. No. It's known. He's a big believer in it. That did not answer any questions that I had. It just made me have more questions. Right.
But
so perfect. So now they have a fast and easy way to put out a little bit of bait. Mm-hmm. Imagine if they made a video and it was something that you thought was intriguing. Mm-hmm. Even if it's fake, who cares? It was intriguing enough for you to click on their page. And now you've went and you've looked into them, et cetera, et cetera. And that goes for everybody. You could do it with an ad even. And now people are spending more money on junk they don't need because they've seen all these 500 ads in a total of an hour.
That's true.
And so now you're creating what would you call it? You're creating like a...
You're creating like a problem within a problem.
Yeah. So you're able to like make more money off these people who already don't have as much money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so I think a lot of that's going on with it. And
Do you think there's more good in it than bad? So say this example. Say that right now, if I'm correct, one of Elon Musk's best friends is looking at buying TikTok. Mm-hmm. American-owned company. Mm-hmm. He's looking at buying the rights to keep TikTok.
Right.
I don't know if Donald Trump is a proponent of that. Now I know Donald Trump and Elon Musk have talked with each other a good amount of it. So,
right. And
Elon, it's changed his thoughts a lot in the last 3 years. Like if you would have told Elon Musk vote for Biden or Trump probably 4 years ago, he probably voted for Biden. Mm-hmm. But nowadays he says he has no chance that he's voting for a Democrat. He's going to vote for Trump.
Right.
And right now there's two candidates. If there is any other, sorry guys, I don't know what your name is. But so yeah, I would. But what's your opinion on that one? So say the United States gets it. I'm not going to say it stops China from being able to spy on our stuff, but
it may make it a little bit harder.
Make it a little bit harder.
Also,
the U.S. will definitely spy on your stuff. Let's just put that out there.
Well, I think it's a big misconception that people think that all their stuff is private and all this and that. Like, it's been happening to you. Okay?
100%.
Even some people talk about pre 9/11. Okay, and now we're getting off on a bit of a tangent here, but after 9/11 happened,
I got a lot of questions about 9/11.
The government actively come out and said they're going to start listening in because there was terrorists, and because they weren't listening in, they didn't catch them, supposedly. So now they're able to catch more people because they're listening to everybody. Buddy, from the invention of being able to listen in, they've been listening in. Even if it was a kid down the street, right? And like with landlines, you may have heard of this. Like back in the day.
What's a landline?
If your neighbor down here is talking to your neighbor down here and their line runs through your house, you could pick up the phone and listen in.
Oh, I know. I would have loved to have been that guy in the middle. The amount of things that I could hear, it'd be great. But anyway.
But that's my point. People been listening in since the dawn of being able to.
Yeah.
Even if you're just outside, listening through the window or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. So, I don't know if there's any way you could keep from that. But now, cutting down on it, possibly. Cutting down on the amount of, Chinese influence maybe. Because some of that stuff, I would assume if a Chinese company owns it, they have the ability to alter that information the way you get it. And so that's what, I was talking to somebody I work with about this. She's the one who told me about it, about a possible U.S. TikTok ban.
Yes, I remember that being. I think Donald Trump was the guy that was for that.
Well, so here's the deal. First off, why was he for it and now against it? And also,
Right.
So some people said like the freedom of speech. They're like, oh, you're taking away freedom of speech, dude. It's not free anyways because somebody owns your speech. So technically, if I submit that information, they can say no. Your stuff is.
I do agree with you on that.
It's not within our guidelines.
Yes.
So was it actually free to begin with?
Do you think there should be guidelines?
That's the hard part because there's certain things that you shouldn't have access to.
Right. No, I agree.
But
there should not be porn on TikTok
or people being
killed,
murdered.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
So, I mean, there should be a certain level of mediation, I think, of a moderator. But besides that, if it's beyond, but see, somebody would probably tell us the opposite. They'd probably say, put it on there. So what do you think about that?
You're definitely right. I mean, there's definitely people. Heck, I mean, I'll just be honest. The place I saw the video of the Moscow shooting was on Instagram. Now, granted, it was not. It was violent, obviously, because there was people dying. But it was not graphic. It was not up close. There was no showing faces. I don't think the video was there to technically embark fear. I think the video was there to more give just like a point of view of this is what's happening.
I guess that's the good point right there.
Versus like the cartels and everything coming out of the video of cutting somebody's head off or something like that. That obviously should not be on anything, and those people belong in a hole. So there does have to be some kind of moderation in there. I mean, now who controls that moderation? I'll be honest with you about all kind of moderations, pretty much, especially when it comes to social media stuff. Is if you are going to moderate it, just be clear on what you're moderating. Like I know you know a bunch of them too that's made YouTube videos, and their videos get taken down. And the thing that sucks about YouTube 90% of the time is you actually don't get really a good what's the word here? Explanation on what is a good reason on why your channel is being took down. Make it clear. Do not have any of this. I personally don't see any kind of harm showing some guy take down an AR. Right. Now you can't do that or put a suppressor on the end of it. I do see harm in showing somebody else harm somebody on purpose that's intentionally supposed to be evil. That's just the best word I could say for it. But TikTok is special because I would like to talk to the guy that made it just to get his side's perspective on it. Whether he's good, whether he's evil, I don't know. I didn't dig that much into the guy. Because one thing you have to think about TikTok, say TikTok was even created, say it was free all around the world and everybody used it. I don't know if it's the content itself that's the thing that is hurting people, and I mean hurting like mentally draining. Seeing that so much stuff, your brain just can't comprehend it that fast. Or is it just the way it was set up in general? Because in a way, like TikTok was made to just be to fast things. Right. So was the intention of making TikTok in the first place for it to somewhat be a weapon to lower people's IQ skills? Because I will say this too, and this is with anything though, is I've got good information off TikTok on stuff. I got a friend of mine that she makes all these different recipes off of TikTok, and it's awesome, and they taste great. It's like they're being made by Gordon Ramsay or something like that. I mean, they're great, but it's like, say you had your phone, and it was on TikTok, but all it was recipes. Say it was in the end, no propaganda, nothing politics, nothing to really sway your opinion that much on one thing. Now, obviously, you can't be neutral on everything. Right. Nobody does that. But say it was cooking videos all the time. Your brain still is not going to like it scrolling I mean, you can pretty much get 100 recipes in like 2 minutes.
Right.
I mean, and I just don't think your brain is made the capacity. Because I'm interested in the conspiracy side. Was it designed actually to be a weapon? Or was it designed, and when I say weapon, it could have been two different things. Weapon as in, like, it's something that is actually meant to drain people.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a weapon as in getting information from people? Because you know, like how me and you could talk about like a pool noodle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really wish I had a pool noodle.
Yeah.
I mean, you wait about an hour, and my phone will probably give me a pool noodle for something.
Right.
So, is that a bonus part of the weapon, or was it really made with intentions of, hey, I got a good idea, people can get a lot of good information, so let's try this app. I would have really, I'd actually like to sit down and talk to the guy that made it, because I would like to know, like, was his intention to have girls, like, shake their butt half naked on there for, like, 5 seconds? Like, was that the intention of it? Or was it like, people could put, like, how to change your oil on here or something like that, and then it escalated to that.
Right.
The same thing with, like, OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if OnlyFans was created just to essentially do, like, naked stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, because I did hear one time somebody was making a joke about, why don't you just start an OnlyFans and just start vlogging on there like YouTube? And I was like, well, that's the same thing, but people are just paying for it now.
Right.
Like, why would you pay that much? Because, I don't know, it's very interesting. I'm pretty sure, though, that Snapchat was created for nudes. I think I read that somewhere where it was like, Snapchat was created for explicit pictures. So I'd like to know, like, here's a question I never even thought about asking. Comment below, because I really don't want to look it up. Who owns OnlyFans? Like, you've got names for all these other people, but who owns OnlyFans?
Well, I don't know on that one, but that makes me think.
Is that a Chinese company? I've never seen Chinese woman on there. I'm just messing with you. I've never been on it. I'm not paying money to see naked people. Let's just... Guys, any guys in this watching this video, don't pay money to see people naked. That's the dumbest thing in the world. I condone it. Don't even look up naked people. I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us, but don't pay for it. I mean, come on. It blows my mind. But anyway, that's a whole other thing, dude. You think your brain is getting effed up from scrolling on TikTok 3 jillion times? Imagine you losing $3,000 a month for some naked chick that doesn't even know your name.
Here's the deal on that one.
Your cousin's on it.
My 2 cents on that real quick is, go meet a real girl, please.
Yeah.
That's going to be way more beneficial for you.
Yeah, for sure.
For your brain, your thought process, and you as a social person.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be so much better off talking to a real person. Okay?
Yeah. Have you ever watched the Whatever podcast?
I don't know, that sounds familiar.
So this dude's smart, and actually he seems like he's got good morals. I mean, I would be very interested in meeting this guy one day. The podcast is one of the biggest podcasts in the world. Essentially what he does is he's not like full-blown red pill like Andrew Tate is. Like, he doesn't just go around and just say absolutely absurd things, even though they may be true. Just find a different way, better way to say them. He gets a panel with like 10 chicks on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where he's pulling these chicks from. I pray for him all the time. Cause there's only so much I can watch to where it's just like, it's so absurd that you just don't want to watch it. It's like you end up feeling bad for people. And he gets all these people on there, and a lot of them are OnlyFans chicks. Mm-hmm. All good looking. That's just how it is. And making tons of money, 6 figures. I think one girl was talking about it one time, making 7 figures in a month. Well, I mean, it's absolutely insane. But it's just, to me, it's sad.
Yeah.
Watching it. I mean, because everybody out here wants to make a living. I mean, and it's not easy. That's not really the word. I mean, any person that's in, and I'm not a millionaire yet. He's not a millionaire yet. We're two middle-class people. It's not easy all the time, but do you know like exactly what you're doing when you get into that? Because there's a bunch of people nowadays that turns a different way, and now granted, there's people on TikTok that do stuff. Now it's not necessarily like sexual stuff, but and I'm all for people starting businesses and everything like that, but I just don't know why you would even do that to yourself. Like, it's such an interesting conversation when you're talking to somebody that's made substantially amount of money, and it's got to the point now to where it's changed their mind on what they think's a good thing to do. Like, everybody jokes around, hey, if I want to be a millionaire, my wife could start OnlyFans or something like that. I don't even make those jokes to my wife anymore. I'm like don't even say that kind of stuff like that, because just the way that they think, if it's literally true or they're just playing a card, because I'm sure there's some of them that play a card, but if your mind is that terribly warped, how did it get there? And is TikTok one of the reasons how it got there?
Possibly. And I remember me and you looked at it. It was either a study done recently, or it was something along the lines of like a study that was done, and it showed where the middle class was smaller now than it has been in the past couple of years. And so the rich are richer and the poor are poorer.
Correct.
And the middle class is just disappearing.
Yep.
That right there is one of the causes.
100%.
Stuff like that, So there's no longer these middle class people because they're either rich or poor.
Yeah.
So I find that part of it interesting, as well as, man, I don't know if it has any influence in that. A lot of it, I can't help but think about the monetary gain from any of these sites. So, like if you're scrolling through TikTok and there's like 500 ads or whatever, every one of those ads, pays TikTok for you to be using their application. And so they're just making money is the way they see it. I kind of,
it's definitely a business. I mean, that's
the thing though. So like, do you think, did he just create it as a business, or did he create it for a more lucrative reason?
I would have to go with my gut feeling and say a lucrative reason, just for the fact that they can't have it there. That if they had it there, then it would, I could have more reason behind it. But why would you start a group? And here's the scarier thing, in all sense. Not only are we doing something that China created and they're not using, but somehow, some way, a U.S. official allowed that to happen. So it's like, I'm going to make a TikTok, essentially, before TikTok was a thing. I'm going to call Xing Yun, or whatever his name is, and say, I created this app. You can learn good stuff on it, yada, yada, yada. Is it okay if I put it on y'all's VPN, or whatever the heck you want? I'm just saying VPN because I know you can change the different countries, whatever. But just where it's available to them, and then not make it available to us. I mean, I would just feel like that would raise... My life would probably be a lot easier if it didn't have TikTok, but I'll also be completely honest with you. TikTok's not my app. I like longer form stuff. I like watching podcasts. Podcasts are huge right now. And maybe it's turning around. I would, or maybe it's just we're getting older and the people we know listen to podcasts.
Possibly. I think right now they're pretty hot, and as well as just like, I know a lot of people who watch 30-minute videos. Yeah. And so that's their average watch time, about 30 minutes. And I think that's about the same or standard as most television shows. So, I mean, think about how long that's been running. Right. So that, I don't know if that's an ingrained type of length of time. Right. But, man, the only reason why I think it might be lucrative, sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Is if they're not going to allow their own people to watch it, feels like an ulterior motive. Feels like there's something else happening.
I wonder if TikTok's allowed in Russia.
That I don't know.
Huh. I wonder how many places it's actually allowed in. Wouldn't that be wild if it was just the United States?
That would be actually really crazy.
I mean, that would... If it was just the United States, I mean, I don't know how you could think it wasn't. So that's I would not be opposed to just banning TikTok. It doesn't really do a whole bunch to me. Like I said, I like longer form content.
Right. I'm not even on it, so...
I'm all about capitalism and people starting companies and trying to make a good living for themselves. I know it would stop a lot of people from doing that, but I think you would get a lot more fulfillment if you were like doing, say something like this, or like podcast is essentially taking over like cable news and just TV in general.
Right.
I don't know the last person I met that actually has. Do you have regular TV? You have direct or dish?
I think it's direct.
You're the only person I know I think that has a real TV.
Well, once I get better internet, I live out in the boonies, so then I'm probably gonna we're gonna do some switching around.
Right.
Me and my crew, but
because I mean podcasts are definitely taking over the thing, but I don't know. I would encourage I'll tell you one thing that I would encourage everybody to do. I don't care how old you are. Don't watch TikTok before you go to bed. I think it's just taxing on your nervous system. I mean, and I'm low-key talking about my wife. She just stares at her phone all the time. And luckily, actually, we've somewhat gotten better at it because we're trying to just set a time. Hey, don't look at your phone anymore after this. Now, granted, we still look at TV. But I enjoy watching movies with her.
Right.
And I love movies in general, so me and her both have a good time with that. And try to sit back somewhat close from the TV. But I've noticed if I sit there and stare at my phone before I go to sleep, especially on TikTok, dude, it's like you close your eyes and you literally see it's like the thing going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I would highly recommend stopping that. I mean, you'll just sleep better in general.
yeah, part of that has to do with blue light, the study of like looking at screens before you sleep and stuff. I've seen a little bit on that and read a little bit, and like that's my glasses have a coating for
You think it works?
Oh yeah, it
Really?
it helps cut down on your eye strain, which causes more of a mental fatigue. But I've even noticed it because I'm notorious for watching YouTube videos before I fall asleep.
Same.
Whole videos though, so like I'll lay in bed for an hour 30, cramming like 3 videos in.
Right. No, I'm right there with you.
And then I'll just fall asleep while watching it.
Oh, see, that don't happen to me.
So that happens to me.
I sit there and I'm like after I close my eyes, the videos play back in my head.
And so I think that's a negative. So here recently,
I do too. No, I agree.
my charging ports quit working. It's actually been a beneficial thing,
Nice.
which is super frustrating. But so I have a wireless charger.
Mm-hmm.
When it sits like below the height of my bed, and so I have to set my phone down there. So if I want to watch anything, I gotta be like right on the edge. So you're like almost gonna fall off. So I've quit doing that, and so I'll just put something on that I can listen to.
Good deal.
And face away from it.
That's what somebody told me to do. They said put now granted, I don't know the studies on this. I don't know if it's good to have the earpod things in your ears or your headphones on. I don't know. Now I don't blare mine, but I do put them on. But somebody said listen to like something before you go to bed. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm anxious to see what people got to say about it. But yeah, just don't stare at your phone before you go to bed.
Yeah. On the people listening to things, I know a lot of people who listen to stuff to go to sleep.
Raindrops.
And or like some people like campfires.
Gunshots.
All right, here, quick story time on that one. So there is an ASMR for that, for the World War II trenches. I thought, I'm going to give that a shot, because I'm an interesting person. Well, my family heard about this, and they had quite a bit to say.
Oh, shit.
All I was doing was testing it out because I was curious. It was quite good, very realistic. Kudos to whoever did that.
It was really calming, wasn't it?
It was not
Not calming.
but you know.
That's.
I thought it was super interesting. Oh,
I know they've had them for the raindrops, obviously,
yeah.
but World War II, that's next level.
They got it. I guess if you're at work, and you're trying to grind it
Yeah,
day
you're
out,
trying to just grind it
just
out.
put your earbuds in.
Keeping trying to keep active about everything. It's like that. Have you ever seen that one chick that scans the things at Walmart? She's like,
oh
this.
yeah,
She's got the ASMR playing in the background, gunshots going off. Oh, that's great. That's great. It's a great video. Great video. What are we talking about?
We're talking about listen to stuff before you go to sleep.
Oh yeah, listen to stuff before you go to sleep. Yeah, that's something definitely that I'm gonna have to try. I'm not good at falling asleep with stuff on me though, unless it's a beanie. If nobody's ever tried sleeping with a beanie on, dude, it's the greatest thing ever. My ears get cold and I get headaches. But my AirPods would just probably fall out.
Yeah, see, I don't know how I feel about that. I just turn my phone on, and I've got it to where like if it's a YouTube video, I turn the autoplay off, so I won't just play another one. I'll pick like a 30-minute. I mean, obviously, you know how long it takes for you to go to sleep. And if you don't pick something you're going to actively try and pay attention to. Because if you're sitting there listening, thinking about it, you're going to listen to all 30 minutes of that.
Exactly.
So put something on that you can just kind of like...
That's
why I think people go with sounds.
Me, Cammie, her brother, my friend Jacob, and then Cammie's brother's little brother, and our friend Timmy play Dungeons and Dragons now. It's actually really fun if you have a really, really good imagination. You definitely need a bunch of time for it, though. But one thing that I was thinking about doing was the lore for Dungeons and Dragons is insane. And also to the point to where it's insane because you just kind of make stuff up.
Right.
But there has people that has wrote books about it and stuff like that. And I've been thinking about putting one of those books on and just listening to it, because then maybe you learn something here and there, but then in the end it's probably not that important to learn anyways. Right. But it's like mostly you just listen to probably other people's campaigns. So it's like the story that they went through to play the game. And then but yeah, it gets into it. If you got a big imagination, dude, that world right there is completely nuts. And they make cinematics just like the one thing too.
Oh, okay.
The freaking World of Warcraft thing.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a cool thing that I want to try down the line.
That's interesting. You said that. I went down a deep dive with some Lord of the Rings stuff. That's what I nerd out on.
Yeah.
And so that's like I was listening to all the lore behind like all the different type of mystical stuff going on.
Right.
And so I was listening to it at night, like to go to sleep.
Did you go to sleep though?
Yeah.
I was like, I figured you just retained every bit of it.
I know, I learned it. I do remember it. I mean, like the Balrog, stuff like that.
What is that?
That's the thing that gets Gandalf.
Oh, with the whip.
Yeah, the big fire.
Yeah. I remember watching the movies all the time, and then that thing on the PS2 video game, that thing was a B word. That thing destroys my life when I used to try to play that on PlayStation 2 all the time.
Nice. But
yeah, that was Lord of the Rings is definitely epic. Why do you think people nerd out about medieval stuff?
Man, I can tell you just from my own personal experience, I love the idea of going on an adventure. And they see that, and it's like their own adventure.
That's probably it.
That's how I feel
because
about it. I mean, me and you got to go on a real life adventure, no cap, people. And so I get to live out my dreams. Well, we've been on several.
I was about to say we've been on several.
But our last big one, when we went to the mountains.
Oh, yeah, dude.
We're literally on this mountain.
Yeah.
And it was, imagine beautiful green, the smell of fresh, like growing mint.
Yeah.
And it's just flowers and beautiful snow-capped mountains.
It was like a movie.
It was literally like a movie.
It was like somebody could have been filming us and that'd have been like that. That right there is a movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that is for sure. Definitely. The moral of the story: go outside.
Yeah, have an adventure.
Have an adventure. I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Because I wish if we ever do live, you can do lives on here.
Mm-hmm.
And if we ever get to that point where we have multiple cameras and we can do lives, you could do like questions.
Mm-hmm.
And a question that I would like to ask, and I'll put it in the comment section of this video as the first comment and question, is I'd like to know, is there more people that nerd out about like medieval, like fantasy, stuff like that, or like the future cyber techie stuff? Because every now and then I'll go through like different phases, but it always comes back to the medieval thing.
Yep.
I don't know why. Maybe, and you think about it like that's got if everything is as real as what they said it was back then, right. That's a gruesome time.
Oh,
like it was like you got a dark spot right here. Let's just cut it and let you bleed out right there, and then you'll probably be fine. It's like, yeah, that is a rough time, but everybody's like, dude, if dragons were real, that would be definitely bad. You think dragons were real?
So I've heard the debate on this. I don't know. There could have been a dragon-esque creature.
Yeah.
So like, I was blessed to be able to go to this super cool museum. You can say what you want, whether it was fake, real, whatever. I went to this cool museum, and they had on display like a model that they made of like the biggest pterodactyl ever. I'm not joking when I say it was like 3 or 4 stories tall.
Like we're talking as big as a dragon?
Yeah, or maybe bigger than some of the dragons in movies. Like this
Really?
thing, it was huge when I looked at it. It was ginormous, and I thought, that's what a dragon would be like.
There was a, I don't know if it's not the stars thing that the girls. No, maybe it is. You know, like we went through that period where all the girls were like, oh, I'm a something or something or whatever. I'm a feisty or whatever. I don't know anything about all this.
You're talking about your like astrological signs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that, but there's another thing that's like that to where it's like animals and stuff like that. I can't remember what it is, but it's something around that. Like, and I'm not saying like if I tell you what's your spirit animal,
right.
You're like it's a coon, and that's not what I mean, but it was showing all these different things that you could be part of this group, and a dragon was on there with like all these other real animals, and a dragon was one of them.
You talking about the Chinese calendar?
I don't know.
The Chinese calendar operates that same way. So they have like the rooster, the dog, the cat.
Maybe it is
the
that.
donkey, all this, and then there's the dragon, which by the way is my year.
I wonder if you think they're like dragon as in like lizard, like because the Komodo dragon.
If you look at the actual calendar,
it's a dragon.
It's a dragon. But think about Chinese culture. There's a lot of dragons in that.
Chinese culture's dragons are also way different than medieval dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the chance that there was a medieval dragon, like the ones that's in Lord of the Rings or something. I actually don't think is that far off. Like, because in a way they look like a big flying dinosaur.
Right.
That's what it looks like. Now, it probably doesn't breathe fire. We haven't found another animal that's done that. No. That's a cool way to throw a legend in there.
Yeah.
But the Chinese dragons look different. So that's the one thing that's because normally they don't really have that big of arms and they're really, really long.
Yeah. So first off, what's that movie? It's called The Never-Ending Story.
Yes, that thing used to scare the crap out of me.
You talking about the big, it looks like a dog?
The big dog thing.
Yes, okay. So that's more like a Chinese dragon, in my opinion.
Yes.
You know, it's more playful.
Scare the crap out of me.
I can't believe that.
What's it? Was it? It didn't have a name.
Yeah. I can't think of it right now.
I remember the song.
I don't remember his name, but man, you just got me to thinking about something else. This is perfect. Imagine we lived in medieval England. Okay.
I'll imagine it.
And we're fighting against other countries.
I'm just kidding.
And you didn't want them to come to your land.
Yeah.
And you
told
them
you got a dragon.
There's dragons that roam free. And they're like, hell no.
You're right. Yeah, we're out of this place.
Yeah, we're out.
That would be wild.
Propaganda.
You know how easy back then it probably was to spread propaganda? Because there's no way to fact check it. Like, what's that old boy that was, the redcoats are coming, that could have been a lie.
Paul Revere.
Paul Revere. No, that could have been an absolute lie. And everybody'd been like, we gotta go! He just one day would have been like, hey, he's talking to his buddy like Jimmy or something. Hey, you want to see something funny? Bust back up there real quick. Guys, the redcoats are coming. It's like nobody's coming at all.
They've been sitting out there for 12 hours.
Like, where are they at? Just standing straight up. Isn't that nuts they used to do that?
Oh my gosh.
You just stand up, take a shot at your buddy, and then just hope it hits him. Imagine them fighting dragons.
They get wiped out.
They get wiped out.
That's like...
I took an arrow to the knee.
We were watching that new show out, Shogun. And it's supposed to be super periodically correct. It's about Japanese...
It's on Hulu?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Well, we've been watching it, and there was this one scene, spoiler alert incoming, where this guy is holding them off so that his leader and the rest of these people could escape on these boats.
Mm-hmm.
One guy was holding back like 150 dudes with a samurai sword.
I believe it.
And he got them to come to a point where it was a bottleneck.
Mm-hmm.
And like he kills like 10 guys. And then like he's about to be overtaken. And so he just goes on this path and you don't see him die, but he for sure dies. But like maybe I haven't finished the show yet. Maybe he comes back. But
I was going to say that dude is the hero that we needed in Moscow.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah.
But my point on that is like, think about him. He's way outnumbered.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna defend myself with one sword against 150 dudes. Pretty crazy.
He died he died the marvelous in the battle.
He just stood there, just like that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with like the guys who stood there gun to gun. Like,
yeah,
okay, they got 10 cannons and 150 dudes with guns, and I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna load my guns and load theirs.
Yep.
I'm gonna shoot each other at the same time.
Nuts, dude.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Oh shoot, man. Well, you got anything else?
No,
this has been a fun one.
This was a fun one.
All right, guys. This is podcast number 3 of the Skeptics. I hope y'all enjoy. I hope y'all have a great weekend. Like I said, we pray for everybody, the families and innocents that got hurt in Moscow, and we just pray for everybody in the world. And we hope they continue to have a great day, life, weekend in general. Do something good. Get off your phones at night and be the hero.
That's right.
Later, guys.
Later.